So, what the fuck's a web server and why should you care? Well, I know your fat gunner ass hops on Marvel Rivals every day. If you think about it, the engineering behind Marvel Rivals is quite fascinating. The server has to keep track of the position, cooldowns, and hitboxes of each player every tick through the length of the game. Now, when you move in the game state is updated, and the state is served to all the players. This happens every time an action is performed. Isn't that a lot of communication? And what stores and serves this game state anyway? That's fucking right. A web server. Here's a question for you. How do you actually connect to a website? It's quite simple, really. Your browser takes in the URL you entered and matches it with the server IP using the DNS. The DNS maps the IP address of the server to the URL. Then the browser establishes a TCP connection to the server. Now, this TCP connection is used to send a HTTP request to the server, which processes the request and serves a HTML page in return. A web server is just a program that can understand HTTP requests and is able to serve HTML pages in return. A web server can be thought of as a waiter. To write this program, we're going to be relying on sockets. Sockets are endpoints on a network. Let's assume a fictional scenario in which you're speaking to a buddy on a phone. Your phone and her phone are endpoints. There are a few basic operations in which we do this communication. First, we create a socket. This is our endpoint. Next, we bind it. This is basically us setting the IP address and the port number of a socket. It's like associating your phone number to your phone in the phone call analogy. Next, we listen for any calls. This is you waiting for a call from your baddie. Now let's assume there are several baddies waiting in a queue to call you. Now when you accept a call from a shorty, the shorty behind her in line moves up and waits for you to finish the call with the current shorty. When you accept a call, we create a socket for the client on our server. Note that both the sockets are on your side. So we transfer the data to the client socket on our local system, then it gets broken into chunks and sent over the internet to the client socket on their system, where the chunks are reassembled. The client's local socket is taken care of by their browser. We need not worry about it. Let's look at a practical example. Let's say I want to make a Playboy Cardi fan page and I want to have multiple people access it simultaneously and I want to have two different pages, so there's some routing involved. The data we send our client needs to be structured in a proper format. So what we do is we send back a HTML page. A browser is nothing but a TCP client with a HTML renderer. So what we do is we pass a HTML file and send it to the client as a string. Since we follow the proper format, the client's browser will easily render the HTML on their screen. Now, to implement the multiple user functionality, we'll use multi-threading. So what we do is we create a new thread for each user on the line. In this thread, we'll run a function that will create a client socket for each client. Threads run independent of each other, so each client gets a specific thread. Note that the thread only closes when the function returns a value, and that only happens when the user disconnects. To implement routing, we depend on the browser. The browser basically sends us a HTTP request. There are several kinds, but mostly it's something called a GET request. This is the browser asking us for the web page. This GET request also has path in it. So we read the path and return the web page accordingly. And that's it. We have a basic web server that can handle GET requests and multiple users at the same time. So the next step would be to implement post requests so the users can send us their credit card info and so on. Maybe we can even implement some basic cookie-based authentication to handle authentication and authorization. That should be fun. So that's it, I guess. Subscribe.
See ya.